Okay, hello, hello. Test 1, 2, 3. I see I am live. So, hello everyone. Uh, Sorry for the delay. Had a bit of technical issues setting up the stream to go live, but we are here. So, uh, if you are here, also feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. I'll do the same. So, hey guys, my name is Marcello Cardillo. I am the lead game developer for Elympics. And in this stream, we will go over Olympics' new feature, rolling tournaments. So, rolling tournaments are a new feature Olympics is planning, and this allows players to create asynchronous tournaments without the need to invite other players. So, as an example, players can create a tournament with 4 people, a prize pool of 5 ton, and then they will play their match, the tournament will stay live, and other people with the same match configs will join this tournament asynchronously at whatever time they want to join, and the tournament will be settled automatically. Everything will be handled by Olympics. You, as the developer, the only thing you need to do is set the number of players you would like to participate in the tournament, and also set the prize that you would like these players to receive. So, I will go ahead and share my screen. I have a little example I've prepared here with one of our games called 21 Solitaire Showdown. So, over here, if I can open, thank you. So over here is a very basic UI. This was done just for purposes of the tutorial. Of course, in your game, try to make things pretty. Pretty is good. Uh, but yeah, so this is a game currently being hosted on Telegram. As you can see over here, one of the features of rolling tournaments is that we allow players to pick their preferred coin. Currently, since I'm on Telegram, we only support one coin or one virtual battle wallet, excuse me, I should say, and that is the one being displayed, so there's no other selections. Additionally, this is the button that will allow players to compete. For example, I have set it up for 4 players with a prize of 2, and then the entry fee is automatically calculated by Olympics. This is the prize that the price that players will have to pay in order to participate in this tournament. And yeah, then if they win, they will receive 2 ton, right? So additionally, another feature of rolling tournaments is you can check your tournament history. Like I said, the UI is very ugly. This was for the tutorial. I did this very quickly, okay? But yeah, so over here you can see this particular account has played in 2 tournaments, and currently both tournaments are in the live state. What this means is that the tournament has not been settled because not enough players have participated. But you, as a player, can participate in as many of these as you want, and then yeah, they will show up in your history. And once the other 3 players participate, the tournament or the Olympics backend will automatically decide the winner based on the number of points in your game, of course, and then it will give the prize to the winner. Simple as that. There's a lot more things we can add here, but for the simplest implementation, this is what we're aiming for right now. Alrighty, so let's get started with coding. So as you can see over here, I have 21 Solitaire Showdown. This is how the game looks like currently on live, but we don't want all of this right now. This is nice, and you can keep, if you already have a game with Olympics, you can keep your current setup as it is. This code can be working with the existing code already. It does not need to be deleted. But for the tutorial, it makes things very messy, and I'm going to delete it. Yeah. All right. So I have saved ourselves some trouble, so you don't see me delete a bunch of scripts and prefabs. So the first thing I will do is check out this branch that has everything deleted already. Now, if you give me a second and Unity cooperates, right. Uh, as I mentioned, we will be deleting everything again. As a developer, call-ins. You can set up configurations with the tournaments, and they will be distributed automatically, I believe. But if you have any questions on how to do it more specifically, the link to the developers Discord is in the description of this live stream. So please feel free to join it and tag at Elympics, and somebody will help you immediately. So, sorry, there is a small problem with this game, so I'm going to do a quick restart. Bear with me. As a Unity developer, you know the struggles. But yeah, as I mentioned previously as well, we want to clean up the scene. I did that previously to this video or to this stream. Okay, for those type of questions, I would suggest you go to the regular Discord and ask support. This stream is mostly oriented towards developers that want to implement games using the Olympics protocols. I believe I can link that for you as well, real quick. And here you go. This is the Discord with our lovely support agents. They will help you as much as possible. Alrighty, so back to solitaire. We have deleted everything in the menu, as you can see. Nothing here, quite obvious. The other thing you should do, and this is quite simple, is just update both Olympics packages. So update the Olympics package and the Olympics Playpad package. If you have not installed these previously, you can do so from GitHub. We have links to this in our documentation, or you can also check out the links over here. So once those are updated, you might have some compilation issues because it's a major version update, so some things change. Just go ahead and fix those issues. For Solitaire, for example, it was 2 lines, the name of a variable changed, just some minor things. Alrighty, so now that that is done, first thing we want to do is implement a controller for the menu. Alright, so I can do that quite fast, and I'll make a new folder inside scripts so we can keep things clean and call this rolling tournaments scripts. Why not? And then over here, let's make a quick new script. Solitaire rolls tournament controller. All right. So if you already have a game with Olympics, you probably have something similar to this already, especially if you use the sample from the packages. Then you already have a controller in the menu. You do not need to make a new one. Like I said, I am adding a new controller just for the purposes of this video. And as you can see, my scripts are open here. Everything's set up previously, but let's do some live coding as well. Alrighty. So first things we will need, this is very important, is a session manager reference. Session manager for Olympics is basically the class that manages all the sessions in your game. You want this session manager for simple things like showing and hiding the loading screen. And you also want it for more complicated things like subscribing to things like when your session info changes, if the user disconnects, if the user changes their wallet, etc. So it's a good thing to have in your references. And first thing we want to do as well is add start and on destroy. So like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have 2 very simple methods here. It's going to be show loading screen and hide loading screen. As you can imagine, these methods show and hide the loading screen. There's no crazy no crazy trick here. I already have a singleton class for the loading screen. Of course, you do not have to follow the same coding standards. If you want to use something different, by all means, it's up to you. But yeah, I will use what's already available in this game to make my life easier. Um, okay, so this is destroy. We want to unsubscribe you. And we want to unsubscribe also. Finish session update. Perfect. And then on start, of course, you'll want to subscribe these as well. All right. So now we have a very simple game, you could call it. Nothing really is happening here, but let's add a bit more code so we can actually initialize our game correctly. So let's add an async unitask method that will be called on start. What we want to do in this method is, firstly, we want to check if we are already connected to Playpad and show the loading screen if we are not. So, easy way to check this is that's it. It's a property that tells you if you are connected to the Playpad. If we are not connected to the Playpad, we will show the loading screen immediately because this code will be called on start, and we can forget this async operation as we do not need to make our code execution stop because of this. And now we can simply connect to Playpad. That's it. Now we have the basics menu controller set up already. Of course, we have to set this up on the UI. And crap, this game is giving me some issues. So bear with me for 1 second while I do a quick reload. Yes. Yes, please free Itemos. Nice name. Uh, I believe we will most likely have some samples, but currently they are not implemented as the feature is in ongoing development. It's ready to use. As I mentioned, I'm using it from the official packages in Olympics, but we will have the sample most likely once the feature is completely finalized. And yes, we will share the project, of course. All right. Any Unity developer I know hates this screen. At least I know I do. So while we have some downtime, anybody have any questions yet? We haven't really gotten into the interesting part, but might as well take advantage of the time. I'll take the silence as a no. All right, so we're back. And then what we should just do, it's very simple. Set the roles controller in the menu, and we add the reference to the session manager. And now you can see in a second. We show the loading screen at start, and we hide it once the session info has been updated. This is all done asynchronously, and once your game is published onto our hosting site, the Playpad, it will automatically, the loading screen will automatically be controlled by the manager, which controls the, yeah, which subscribes to the async methods. Okay, and I just realized I pasted this in the wrong place. Right now it doesn't matter, but let's keep code clean. Alrighty, so we've set up the session manager, the menu controller, I mean, really simple. So let's go into the next part. The next thing we want to do is set up the coins view. So as you saw earlier, where we could select the different currencies, let's do something like that right now. All right, so we go back to our lovely session manager, and we are going to add one more event over here, or some more lines of code over here. And this is going to be available coins. We simply have to call the playpad communicator dot instance dot virtual deposit communicator, and then we can get the Olympics coins. And that's basically it. You could most likely have this a bit cleaner. Maybe some other class can control all the communications with playpad, but again, it's a tutorial, so let's keep it as simple as possible. All right, so now we receive a dictionary with a GUID and coin info. What we do with this dictionary is up to us, but for this tutorial, we're going to do something very simple. We're going to make a dropdown where you can change the available coin based on the dropdown. Reloading, reloading. All right, so let's make a new game object here. Call it coins dropdown. And let's set a dropdown. And let's make this big so it's easy to read. Put you up here and make text big. All right, cool. Or you know what? Let's also center the text because why not? Alrighty. So, coding standards apply to whatever your preferred coding standards are. For me, I'd like to make view classes that control the view of the object. So I'll call this, say, solitaire roles coins view. Simple enough. All right. So let's assign you here and let's open the script. As you can see, we start with nothing. The first thing we will most likely need is a reference to our dropdown. And this is a TMP dropdown if I'm not mistaken. So let's do that. And then I don't think we need any other references. So let's just go ahead and make the method. We can call it show available coins. And we need a list of coin info, which is an Olympics struct, and available coins. And then let's pass it an action that takes a GUID as a parameter and call it on coin changed. So you can probably start seeing where I'm heading at, but the idea is to have this dropdown be populated automatically by the available coins that Olympics sends, and then we have a callback for whenever we select a coin, we do something with this GUID. So this is the idea. So first thing we should do is always clear your options. If you instantiate or you use a dropdown, always delete the stuff first so you avoid any type of duplicates. And then thank you, IntelliSense. IntelliSense filled out this method for me. Double check for nullability or if the list is empty. For whatever reason we get this, we can log an error, coins empty, guess, or null. And then we can set the coins, the drop down to uninteractable. So if for whatever reason we get an error, we don't allow users to interact with the dropdown. So we keep it, we keep everything nice and clean. And then if not, set it to interactable so that you don't accidentally keep it uninteractable when it shouldn't be. All right. Then next thing you'll want to do is, I keep typing coins dropdown, so I'm going to replace this name to coins dropdown because my brain likes it better that way for some reason. All right, so easy thing to do here is just add all the options in the available coins list. So available coins dot select, use a bit of lambda here, currency dot ticker. So you can take some more time on your own to check out the struct, but as you can see, the struct has GUID, currency info, and chain info. All this information is important, but for UI purposes, the most important one we care about is the ticker and the GUID. The ticker being like the coin ticker. So for Telegram TON, it will say TON. For Ethereum, it should say ETH, but when Ethereum is added, wink wink. But yes, you get the point. All right, and then finally, just parse this to a list using link Q. Now we can add the options to the dropdown very simply. Then let's on value changed. Again, remove all listeners to avoid duplicate callbacks. You can do this a different way if you'd like, but I'm making this simple. And then let's add some lambda so we can subscribe to the on coin changed. So we can actually discard. No, we can't discard this index. We want this index. As you can see, on value changed, or as you can't see, TMP does not show it to me. But on value changed is an event that returns an index. So when we want to add a listener to it, we need to have a method that takes an index as a parameter. But I want to add lambda because I want to access this available coins list on the fly. So we can do it like this. And then we check available coins with the index of I. And yeah, we need to set the ID. Perfect. So now what will happen is you will send the list of available coins to this class. This class will, of course, do some checks to see if everything's okay, set it to interactable or not, add all the possible options to the list of the dropdown, and subscribe the dropdown on value change to this event that we pass it, which takes the available coins ID. So whenever we change value, we change coins in the dropdown, it will throw an event, or yeah, it will call an event with a GUID that you can later use to change your UI, for example. Alrighty, and then lastly, because we decided to use a dropdown, let's set the value to 0 by default. You can easily extend this to use player prefs, for example, to make it nicer experience for your players. You can save the GUID selected and then set this value based on the GUID selected. So if a player likes to play for ton, you save the last selected one and then set it here. But I'm not going to show you how to use player prefs. This is to show you Olympic stuff. So, and then we just refresh the values. Alrighty, so we have the coins view pretty much set up. Let's go back to the manager, or the controller, excuse me. And let's call this solitaire rose coin view again. And now we simply want to call this class and pass the available coins. I think I have to parse the available coins, most likely. Yep, forgot to parse them to a list. All right. So now you should. I don't know how to spell available apparently. And then send an event. We can make a new function here. Coin value changed. GUID selected coin GUID. And then we can just pass this method here. And why are you red? I forgot one line. Right, since this is a dictionary, we only want to use the values of the dictionary. We don't care about the keys, since the GUID is already in the coin info. All right. So we have this, but now you will see, well, actually, not now, in 2 seconds. We first have to set up the dropdown reference and the coin reference. All right, so now you will see something. When I try to run the game, I'm going to get a big red error. There you go. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. And you say, what? We set all the references. Why? And the line is giving us here. The key is in this class right here. This is called the playpad communicator. And the goal of this class is to communicate with the playpad. Crazy concept. But yeah, so the playpad communicator will not work while you are working on the editor because this is meant to be hosted on the front end side, the playpad. So luckily, we have some solutions for this. The first and simplest solution is to just mock the service. And Elympics provides a lot of mockable services. All right, so I'll show you guys a little bit, but I will not set up the entire mock because it's quite a big scriptable object. But all right, I need to create this class. I forgot. All right, so the simplest way to do it is to just make, I already have the mocks, make a new class, call it virtual deposit mocker or mockup if we want to follow the conventions of this project. All right, so we have empty class over here, and we will want to set it as a scriptable object. This is not mandatory, but yeah, some developers prefer to use scriptable objects for I want to say hard-coded values, but they're not hard-coded. But yeah, for saving values that you can change easily, some developers prefer to just hard-code the values with constants, etc. So up to you how you want to do this. But the most important part is blockchain currency communicator. As you can see, this is an interface Elympics provides, and the code is screaming at me right now because I need to implement all these classes. So, oops. So if you use a IDE, because why wouldn't you? You can just implement the interface and all these classes will be implemented. So notice that get Elympics coins is the same, well, kind of the same class we're using here, which is Elympics coins. Basically, if you go into the package code, you can notice that this virtual deposit communicator fills up this property with get Elympics coins. So you have to mock this somehow. But like I said, this is a lot of code that we've already done. So for now, I will just skip over to the next commit so you can see the final view. All right, let me reload my game. Oops, that stayed. All right, so I'll discard some of these classes that we made since they're duplicate now. Let's just close these up so they cause a bit less confusion. We don't need this. All right. Cool. We still have our error. Now, we go back. We have the coins view still here. You can see the code is exactly the same. Maybe some variable names changed, but everything's the same. And we go back to our menu controller. And now you see over here, I've added a property in our game that just checks if we are in the editor and returns the mock class, which we created earlier. Again, the name changed a bit, but yeah. And to get the Olympics coins. From result, it returns the coins. And these coins are just set in the scriptable object. So yeah, I can show you the scriptable object in a second as well. But now what we do is, if we are in the editor, we return the virtual mock. And if we are not in the editor, we actually communicate with the playpad to see the correct coins. And then everything else stays the same. Alrighty, so if we go back in the mocks, or I can probably find it easier like this. Yes, you can see we have a very big scriptable object with all the mocked information for the coins. I picked ton because why not? And then yeah, the GUID here is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in GUID format. You do not have to use the real GUID. You can if you want, but just pick whatever you want as long as it's in GUID format. So now we can run the game and we should not see any errors, and we can see that we have ton selected here. Yay, cool. So we've done step number 1. We added the coin selection. Now let's go to step number 2. Hello. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Hey Rashid, how you doing, man? Alrighty, so the next thing we want to do is actually let the player play. Crazy concept, but players normally like to play video games. So what we should do first is some extensions. Oh, sorry. Some extensions to our code. So let's make a method to get the available tournaments. All right. I lost myself. 1 second. All right. Here I am. Cool. So first things first, like I mentioned earlier in the video, we have 2 parameters that you need to decide as the game developer. Olympics suggests keeping these parameters constant in some way. For example, the parameters are 1, the number of players, and 2, the prize that you want to give to these players. Olympics matchmakings uses these parameters in order to find other players in the same tournament types. So while it is possible to allow players to pick any amount that they want, we do not recommend this one because people will be funny and try to do 999999999 ton, which, I mean, if they want to participate, it's their choice. And then 2, matchmaking will not be able to find other players very easily. So what we suggest is doing something like making 5 buttons, 3 buttons, 2, 1, however many buttons you want, with preset configurations. For this tutorial, we will just set 1 button with 4 players and the price of 2. Okay, so let's just hard code these values so we don't forget them. Equals 4 and equals 2. Again, this is probably not the most ideal business decision, but it's just an example. You can change these numbers to whatever you think is best for your game. Alrighty, so next thing we want to do is make a new method, because this method has quite a few more lines of code, so let's keep this as clean as possible. We make private async unitask get and show available tournaments. Perfect. As a parameter, you can take a cancellation token. Actually, you should take a cancellation token every time you're working with async operations in C#. You should handle how these async operations work and when or why they are canceled. For example, if we do on application quit, you should cancel any async operations that are ongoing. But yeah, I'm not going to do that for this tutorial, but that's something good for you to know. I'm sure you can find some information on how to do async operations in Unity. Alrighty, then the first thing we need to get the available tournaments is we need to generate a struct called request info. So I'm going to make a request info struct, which is a new list of tournament fee request info. So this is another Olympics struct that we provide, and this struct takes the parameters that we were discussing about earlier. So I am going to generate this list dynamically because I only want one, but you can have as many requests as you want in this list, but yeah, I just care about one. Okay, so first thing we need is coin info. Okay, so this is something, one second. This is something that we should handle in the game, right? Because what if, excuse me. So what if the player changes their coin, for example? How do we update this coin info nicely? So for starters, the easy way to do this would be set this as a public variable, as a list of coin info, and then we can set it to available coins. We don't need to we don't need to declare this because we know it, and then we can pass this here. So a good way to do this, in my opinion, would be to simply change this class to return the default value, because if you want to expand this class, for example, to change the value based on the player preps, then it will be nice if you can just return the coin info here, which we can do very easily, or even better, let's not return the coin info, let's return a nullable GUID. So if there's an error, return null, simple enough. And if there's no error, the last thing we want to return is available coins. What is the index? It's hard coded to 0. Yep, so an ID. All right, so now you know you always start with 0 in this script. So we always want to return the GUID of the first coin. And then all we really have to do is set this selected coin to the GUID that we want. So we can set our selected coin GUID. Then always add some null checks in case things go wrong. So if the selected coin is null, or even better, it's a nullable object, so we should do has value. So if the selected coin does not have value, we should first of all return, and then throw new exception. So selected coin, no value, bad, bad, not good. Perfect. Oh yeah, we don't need to return if we throw an exception. All right, so now that we have the selected coin GUID, we can add a new per global variable called coin info and selected coin. This makes it easy for us to just do selected coin equals available coins dot first, use some more lambda or link queue, sorry, ID equals selected coin GUID value. Perfect. So we get the GUID over here. Then we check in our list of coins if we get the first value, which has the same ID as the selected ID that we want. And we can also extend this over here by simply changing this like this. Our name is different and it's not nullable. Okay, so now we update our selected coin based on the coin selected and by default 0. All right. Yes, I have been told in the past that I talk very fast. So if I'm going too fast for anyone, please let me know. Um, for context, I'm Cuban American, and we turned to talk really fast. So just let me know if I'm going too fast. Alrighty. So now that we know this selected coin, we can simply set the selected coin in the tournament request info, which will update kind of automatically. We still need to add one more thing, which is actually just to call this method here. We can do this, and then we can also call this method here as well. And I believe we want to forget this one. No, since it's a boot, we actually want to await. So the idea here is whenever we boot the game, this is our main method, we want to await the fetching of the available tournaments. And then whenever we change the coins, we can simply forget this async operation so that we can, yeah, the game doesn't need to wait until everything is updated. If you prefer to change it, go ahead, but it's not mandatory. Alrighty, then the other things we want are players count equals players count, crazy concept, and then prize equals prize. Perfect. So we have our three variables that we need to send to Playpad. And then Playpad will tell us how much our entry fee is by taking into consideration the coin information, the players count, and the prize. And then the entry fee is automatically calculated for you, so you do not have to worry about anything. Then we still need to fetch this entry fee, of course. So let's do tournament fee info. Let's make this a nullable value in case we get null. And then this one is simpler. We can await the playpad communicator instance dot tournament communicator and get rolling tournament fee. Perfect. As you can see, it asks us for an array of tournament fee info, which we made a list before, but yeah, you can make an array probably. I will just use lambda LINQ to turn it into an array, and then pass the same cancellation token, because why not? Cool, cool, cool. Then again, always check for nullables. If it does not have value, in this case, we can just return. You can throw an exception to it if you want, but I don't think it's needed here. Then another thing we want to do is set this entry fee. I think it's a decimal, nullable decimal. Set its entry fee globally because we will use this in other classes. And then we can simply get the tournament fee info dot value dot fees. We want this the first fee. Since I am only asking for one tournament of one type, we can assume there will be one. But if you want to get multiple fee informations, you can add some more code to iterate over this. As you can see, it's an array of fee info. So you can go in here and check the fee info by what you want. You can do some experiments if you like to see the different free infos that we return for different values. So knock yourself out. Of course, you will need to host it on the playpad to get the accurate values. And then the last thing we want to do is make a view. So let Unity compile. And we will make a very simple view. Oh, let's do this like this. Buttons view. Oh, it's already been 45 minutes. Buttons view. And then let's make a button. And make you real big. Bit bigger. Cool. And then text 1, 2, 3. Make this big. Nice. Very readable. Next thing is let's find our scripts again because I lost them. Rolling tournaments. Perfect. And let's make a new one. Where is it? Solitaire roles button view. Alrighty, so this script will be very simple. The only thing it really needs to do is change the text. In our case, you make this a lot more complicated and a lot nicer. But as you can see, I'm copying some code to speed this up. And yeah, we just need a reference to the button, a reference to the text, and a format for the text. I have this format prepared already for. And then the next thing we want to do is make a public method that allows us to set it up. We want the entry fee, the number of players, and the prize. And it's really bothering me that the entry fee and the number of players have a different order. So let's change that. Okay, so now it's the same order. All right, and then the only other thing that you need is also a callback, same as we did for the coins, where we want something to happen when you click this button. So we just use some lambda to subscribe the callback to the button. All right, so we have the button view class here. We can set a reference to this button, set a reference to the button text. The format can stay the same, and then we will need to set a reference in the controller as well. Perfect. And then we can do button view dot setup number of players first. What did I call it? Players count, entry fee, and price. And then we want an action for something to happen when we click the button, right? So for now, let's comment this out so we can set the reference and I don't forget. Perfect. So we have the reference to our button set here. All right, and now we want to actually allow the player to queue for matchmaking. So I'm going to copy some code again to make this faster. Okay, perfect. This message box needs to be public. This is not relevant to Olympics. This is just the class that shows a message in the middle of the screen. And the players count is player count. I missed an S. Alrighty, so what we want you to do here is, why are you screaming at me? Decimal dot value. All right, so what we want to do here is we start the game, and by default, we are calling this method, right? We are awaiting the execution of this asynchronous function. Once this asynchronous function communicates with the playpad, we get the tournament fee information. Since we only have one tournament request, we will always get one entry fee information. Okay, this is important because, like I said, we calculate the entry fees dynamically in case we lower the commission or we increase the developers' commissions for yourself. For example, everything is calculated dynamically and your game will adjust on the fly. So you don't have to make a new game version if we want to change things like these. The second part is after we get the entry fee, we set it here, and then we update the button view with the players count, the entry fee, and the price. The reason we're updating it is just to change the text. I'm not doing anything crazy in this tutorial. We're just changing the format of the text to match this, so that the button text will look like players 4, entry, I don't know, 0.59, and price 2. Because, yeah, not because it's 2 here, but 2 because 2 is the value we are passing it. All right, and then the most important part is what happens when a player clicks the button. What you want to do when a player clicks a button is start matchmaking. If you do not start matchmaking, you will not see players or you will not play, right? So once we click the button, we will start matchmaking. This is very important because by default, Olympics will throw an error on matchmaking if the player does not have enough deposits. Also, if the player tries to somehow hack the system and use a fake wallet, the Olympic systems will not allow them to play. But you have to handle that in the game. Normally, how Olympics will handle it is we send you an error. So this is why this block of code is in a try catch, because if the player tries to cheat for whatever reason or tries to remove money from their deposit in the last second or something, we will throw an error on this start quick match, and then you have to catch it. And I should have done this. I forgot to do this. Hide loading screen, for example. You can also show a message box of the error or something. That's up to you. That's not mandatory, but it will make your game a smoother experience for players. The second thing that we should check already by default, so we can save some processing power on the game, is does the player have enough money to play in this type of tournament? So we can check this very easily by calling the same property we made before. I don't know if you remember, the PlayPad Virtual Deposit Communicator. So it's the one that changes between the mock or the real PlayPad communicator, depending on if we are in the editor. And what we do is we get the virtual deposit here, which is a dictionary with GUID of the coin and virtual deposit info. So we try to get the value from the dictionary with a selected coin ID, and we export or we out a player deposit info by coin. Then it's very simple. You just check the amount. If the amount is smaller than the entry fee, you do not have enough money to participate in the game. Or deposit, sorry. I should say battle wallet deposit, to be precise. And then we return. We don't show the loading screen. We don't start matchmaking. Player cannot play until they increase their deposit. Then the next thing we want to do is very simple. We have to get the configurations of the rolling tournament. This is all handled by Elympics, so you don't really need to worry about any of this competitiveness config. All you need to do is call competitiveness config rolling tournament and send the parameters that you wanted before. So the players count, the prize, and the selected coin ID. Then you can just await, start quick match. This is the queue of solitaire. If you've worked with Elympics before, you know that you need to set up a queue in your developers portal. So once you set up the queue in the developers portal, you will see the name here. For our purposes, it's just called solo, and then you pass it the configs for the rolling tournament. Once that is done, your game should work already. But again, you might notice something. Once we try to run the game in the editor, there should be a big red line here. Remember, we are in the editor, we are not in PlayPad, so this method, get rolling tournament fee, will not work because we are not in the PlayPad. This one is a bit easier to fix. We already have a tournament mock here, and this tournament mock is linked to the PlayPad communicator via this preference, this field. So by default, the the SDK will change between the real PlayPad communication or the mock if you're in the editor. This will most likely also be implemented for the one that we had to do manually before for this one. Right now it's not, as a feature is in ongoing development, but it will most likely also be there, so to keep everything in one place. But yeah, now we have the tournament mock. We can just open this class and you can see get rolling tournament fee, throw not implemented exception. Of course, that's why we're getting an error, because it's trying to get to the mock, but we have an exception here on purpose. So very simple fix. Again, I'll copy some code, but you can do this yourself. There's nothing crazy here. We just want to return this struct. So we can just build this struct, calculate the entry fee by item price divided by 60, but you can make it whatever you want. It's for testing. The real entry fee will be calculated by PlayPad. And then now, if we try to run it again, you should see the button set up correctly. Yes, so the button here matches. Our price is 2. 2 divided by 60 looks like 0.033333. That looks about right. And then the currency ticker is TON, but I think you can't see it because it's cut off somewhere down there. Oh no, sorry. The entry fee raw is a different string that you can use. You could actually use this for your game as well instead of getting the entry fee directly like I do. This one is nice because it will send you a string that you can just display, but that's up to you. And then yeah, we have the price of 2 that we also set up before. And that's it. You should be able to play the game. Again, I'm going to click and coin ID is not found because crazily enough, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is not a real coin ID. Who would have thought? But I can just open up a Telegram again and show you. Then we have one last thing to implement. Apologies for the time. I speak too much. But yeah, as you can see, I can queue up. I have a battle wallet of 2.6 ton, and then I am actually in the match. So I'm just going to do this real quick, reload the page. And now I should have yeps. So I paid 0.59 ton for the match, and as you can see, it's listed over here. Before there were 2, and now there are 3. Okay, but now the last feature is very simple. This was the longest feature. It's the tournament history. Sorry, I did not mean to share source tree. And then tournament history, I will just override my project with the source tree with the latest commit in the branch. Then, okay, this one takes a bit more UI setup. Again, I made a very simple UI for this view. It has no scrolling. It only has text lines. You can make nice game objects with images. You can make them clickable. You can sort. You should use pagination, but I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the UI is very simple. It's just a gray background with a content game object. Excuse me. This content has a vertical layout group so that we can spawn these prefabs over here. And as you can see, these prefabs are just text. So we can make as many of them as you want, and the vertical layout group will handle this automatically. And then the other thing important is a close button. You'll want users to close this view somehow, I guess, and an open button. Okay, then let's go into the view class. Actually, I lied. Let's go back into the menu controller because I want to show you how easy it is to implement these tournaments. This history, I mean. If I can find where I put it. Right. Show tournament history. Show tournament history is just a method that calls the async method and forgets, because again, we don't want to stop the code execution awaiting a response from the playpad if it's not 100% needed. Maybe you prefer to code like that and add loading screens, but that's up to you. And then this is all you need to do is call playpad communicator, tournament communicator, get rolling tournaments. That's it. You send it a start index, as you can see them, or a max count, and then you send it the number of items to skip. So if I send 5 and 0, it will give me 5 items starting from 0. If I send it 10 and 5, it will send me 5 items starting from 5. So you get my point. And then if I do 15 and 10, it will send me 5 items starting from 10. So you can use this in the game, in your game, to make pagination, for example. You probably don't want to show users a list of 100 different tournament histories because it's overwhelming. 1, 2, it's a lot of data to request from the backend, which will be a very long request. And 3, it's just going to look like very bad. So to be completely honest, so you can use this very simple numbering to add a page. For example, page 1 shows 0 to 5, page 2 shows 10 to 5, etc., etc. You can play around with numbers and values to make your game as nice as possible. And then the last thing we do is go back to this UI that we implemented before, and let's call this show method. As you can see over here, I pass an array of rolling tournaments history entry, which I got from the response. And inside the response, you have an array of entries. So you want to pass this to the view. And then, as always, you should wait. Well, firstly, I open the view. Important. You want to be able to see stuff, I guess. So I added this in the show method. You can add it somewhere else, probably cleaner. And then by default, we close this view when we open the game. Then once you open the view, you can iterate over all the spawned entries, which this is just a list of the prefabs that I spawn, and destroy the game objects, so you avoid having any duplicate elements. Then after that, clear your list, so you have a clean list and you don't get any errors. And then just iterate over the array that we passed instantiate a prefab. As I said before, this is just a text object. You can make something way nicer, I'm sure. And then once you instantiate this prefab, I change the text with the format that we have over here with state, price, coin, entry fee, and players. This app is oh, Jax, hey man, how you doing? This app is a Visual Studio Enterprise, I think. I can tell you in 2 seconds. Yeah, Microsoft Visual Studio 2022 Enterprise version. But if you code in Notepad, you are actually a hero. You will become my number 1 hero, and I'll be your biggest fan. Like good old school way of coding. But yeah, going back to the tutorial, it's pretty much done. We have the 3 main features that we want to showcase. Um, Nothing very crazy is being done. You can add a lot more stuff to the code. You can make you can I hope you can make it way prettier than what I did because this was very quick. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, like I mentioned earlier, you do not need to delete the previous code. If you already have a game with Olympics, you do not need to delete the previous code. You can keep your tournaments set up as you had them before. You can keep everything, and you can just add roles as a new feature to give your players more freedom to create tournaments on the fly and yeah, to participate in roles tournament and have fun. So that's pretty much it from me for today. As I've already showed the demo, there's not much more to show. Uh, I guess we could have a quick Q&A because I am gone terribly over time. I apologize for that. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. If nobody has any questions in a few minutes, I think we will call it a day. And yeah, there will be a video posted soon if you want more information. And like my colleague mentioned, we will also share this code. Very important as well. If you have not done so already, please sign up to the developers console in Olympics and please join our developers Discord. I will post both links here. That's the console, and this is the link to join our developers Discord. Alrighty, guys. So 1 minute left, no pressure or anything. No problem. It was a pleasure. All right. So I don't see any questions. Again, you don't have to ask them here today. You can start the implementation, and if you have questions along the way, please go to the Discord and ask us. Somebody will answer too. Alrighty, what's up, Jax? Sounds good. Feel like I'm getting trolled now. Yes, I did so. I did so earlier today. I didn't do it 100% live because it was my first time working with this feature. But trust me, this is not a lot of code. Any any developer with some experience can tell you that this was very simple. If I could show you the code of some of our other games, specifically some penguins, you can see that this code is very simple. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a day, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this video got you hyped for rolling tournaments. I personally really like this feature. It's a very nice step forward from our original design of asynchronous multiplayer games. This allows for much more flexibility of players without the need to be constantly checking their daily tournaments or their hourly tournaments. Now you can just participate and forget about it. If you won, you won. If you lost, you can see it in your history and stuff. So yeah, sounds good, guys. Have a good day. Marcello signing out. Bye bye.